this time, I would like to introduce Melissa Chiu, Museum Director and Vice President Global Arts Programs at the Asia Society. Melissa.
Thank you, Stephen. It's a great delight to be collaborating with Departures and American Express on this project. It's one that in many ways is quite dear to Asia Society's heart and my own interest in Asian contemporary art. We all know already from Stephen's great introduction that we have plans on September 13th to have the first of the Global Arts and Asian Global Arts Initiative at Sotheby's, and the Asia Society will benefit. I think that this is a great first step in what I hope will be a long-term collaboration. In terms of Asia Society's role, one of the reasons why I was so pleased to be approached to play a role in this was that Asia Society has long led the way in our understanding of Asian contemporary art. We were really the first institution here in the United States to focus in on presenting the work of current Asian artists. We began our exhibition program in the early 1990s, when in fact many people said that there was no such thing as contemporary art in Asia. Then when I was appointed in 2001 in a curatorial position, it was the very first curatorial position in an American museum that focused in on Asian contemporary art. So you get a sense that we have certainly been at the forefront of also presenting Chinese art, Indian art, the very, very first occasions for American audiences to see these great artists. You might also say that Asian contemporary art is a new field. Well, much of our work here at Asia Society is really about dispelling this myth that Asian contemporary art did not just begin in 2005 with the auctions. It actually has a much, much longer history, dating back to 1950 if we think of the work of artists that were especially working in Japan and Korea with experimental art practices that were very much on a par with artists working here in New York or even Paris and London. So with our collaboration here with Departures, and I'm so looking forward to Richard's issue because I think that it will really enable all of us to see what's currently going on in Asian contemporary art and kind of give it another kind of insight and dimension. I'm very pleased that Asia Society is able to collaborate, and we're going to hear, in fact, from Mary Dinaburg from Fortune Cookie Productions to learn about the artists who have been selected for the auction on September 13th. And I would love Mary, if you'd like to come up. While Mary's just approaching, I would also like to let you know that Asia Society during the summer has two fantastic exhibitions, if you have a chance to see them. One of which is an Ai Weiwei exhibition of his photographs when he lived here in New York from 1983 to 1993. And Ai Weiwei has certainly been in the news, and we were delighted when he was released just 1 week before the show opened. But it gives you a sense of his perspective of what it was like living in New York during this very tumultuous but very dynamic time in New York City and the Lower East Side. We also have an exhibition of Chinese ceramics from our world-renowned Rockefeller collection. So that's enough of what we're doing at the moment, and I'd like to turn over now to Mary Dinaburg, who's going to give you a little sneak preview of some of the artists who will be presenting on September 13th. Thank you very much.
Well, we have the number 13 looms large. We have today, July 13th, we have our auction on September 13th, and we have 13 artists to announce. I don't know how that happened. But we have 13 artists to announce throughout Asia who will be participating in the auction. These are artists that some of you may know, that have international exposure already, and some that are new to the international scene as well. They range, well, I'll show them to you first. It's much more interesting to see the work than listen to me, I think. Okay, this is Daman Chong. He is from mainland China. He lives actually in Shanghai. This is Zhou, which you can actually see right outside this room, into the next room, which this is a video of his called Conspiracy that is also installed with a light box from the same video. This is Chen Man from Hong Kong, actually, but who actually lives between there and Beijing. And this is a diptych. What I want to basically say about all of these artists is that, well, let me just go through the first, then I'll say. This is Quan Kian. You have to excuse my pronunciation. I'm very, very poor at such things, so I don't want to say it and mispronounce it. He is from Korea and shows with the Wan and Jay. This is Kyoto, and he is in Japan and shows with Tomio Koyama Gallery. Taguchi shows with Shugo Art, and I'm mentioning that in Tokyo just to show you that the level of some of these artists is very high in terms of their international exposure already. Cha-Cha Fei shows with Han Art in Hong Kong. Ling Xia shows with Lisa Botos, Oats Botos in Hong Kong. Manet is from from Thailand and has gotten a lot of exposure with his Pink Man, who we have a series of actually 3 works of photographs of his in the auction. And Uko Nugoro is from Indonesia. And these are large embroidery pieces. And you can see him here in New York at Lombard Fried. And he's also going to be in a show in Berlin with Art and Partner. This is Faranziki, an artist from Indonesia. This is Anthony Chong, who's an artist from Singapore, as well as Sunny Liu, who's from Singapore. And the reason that we wanted to show you these works is that there is a huge amount of work that's being done all through the Asian region, and it varies greatly. When we think of Asia, a lot of times, we think of it as a very monolithic environment, that it's all one in Asia, and it's all one kind, and one kind of work comes out of it, and that's so not true. The culture is so rich and so diverse in all of these countries, and the artworks, as Melissa was saying, contemporary work is not new. It's been going on there with those artists working from their own traditions. So there's this very, very rich cultural background from work from Japan to Indonesia to Korea to mainland China to Hong Kong to Singapore. And we're just very delighted to bring examples of these for our auction to benefit the Asia Society. Again, please remember the 1 and 3, the 13th of September. The work, we have 13 artists. There's 20 works that will go in this auction, and they will be on preview September 7th at Sotheby's, which will culminate in an event, this auction event, on September 13th. And thank you for looking at them very quickly. We don't want to give you too much of it because we want